coming back to you, Kachpela, as an editor, how do you meet your deadlines?
You apportion the work. For example, if you have it depends with the extent. The extent in layman's language is the size of a manuscript. For example, if the size of a manuscript is 140 pages, the deadline cannot be with the same with that of a manuscript that is 15 pages. You get. So it always depends with the extent of a manuscript. So if, for example, if it's 150 pages, I just apportion it depending with my reading speed and my experience. I can say I can handle 50 pages in a day.
Sure.
Yeah, it's possible. Even 100, it's possible.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry. So it means I'll give myself like 4 days to be done with this book.
I know so far you've encountered so many writers. How do you give constructive feedback to your writers?
Well, from the word go, I always tell my authors to be open-minded. They shouldn't come with a mindset that my manuscript is the best. I have met all the requirements, and this one has to go to the very end. And they shouldn't come with this mindset that this content cannot be removed or cannot be added. You know, they have to be open that is why they need an editor. Yes. And there are also rights and freedoms of an editor. You cannot bring a manuscript to an editor, but you are like, this chapter, do not touch. This one, do not touch. It's something common in editorial and with authors. There is always a chapter they feel they have delivered. There is always a part where they feel, it sounds better in Kiswahili. Hapa, hii imeweza. You get. So, and it's common and it's understandable, but we always try to make them understand that all the chapters have to flow and have to be consistent. There can't be a chapter you have hit 90% and there is a chapter that you are at 10%. So what we do, if you cannot deliver, sometimes you return a certain chapter, you just cut it and return to an author to rewrite it. And if still he or she delivers something below the threshold, we scrap it off. Yes. Or an editor can rewrite it. Yes.
Now, I know you've had so many assignments in regard to editing. Now, which ones do you feel proud of accomplishing?
I think there is one on... the author is called Dr. Muma from UN. It is just a book. It's giving guidelines on thesis writing. In most universities, you find that people take so long to complete their masters. And it's not because of the coursework, it's because of the thesis part. And that is a book that I did with a lot of passion, knowing that I also love academia and I would want to pursue my master's at some point in the near future. I felt this is a helpful material. And I'm so proud of it because Dr. Muma is remarkable. I mean, if you are in the field of education and humanities, you like everyone in UN knows Dr. Muma. So for me, having to be her main editor, it was something. Yes.
Now, we've talked about this editing for so long. So how much will an editing service cost?
Wow, you are putting me in a trap. There are several ranges.
But anyway, you don't have to disclose it.
Yes, because it can scare off someone, or I can overrate it because someone might come with a manuscript of maybe 300 pages. I cannot charge it with a manuscript of 1,000 pages. So it depends with the work. And competency-based editing, or CBC or curriculum, anything to do with the curriculum, they're not charged the same way with a creative material. Because creative material, if you love languages and you love literature, you will sail through with it. But curriculum, man, you have to align it with the curriculum design. So the charges are always different. And with editing is not only walking the manuscript to the final stage of publication, there are also other services like proofreading and also enhancing the beauty of a book. So those ones are charged differently. Because for proofreading, I am not touching anything on design. I'm not touching anything on the content creation and just maybe adding flesh here and there. No, I'm just reading. I'm actually enjoying a book. So that one is charged quite cheaply.
Okay. Any mistake you've ever done as an editor? And maybe how did you rectify it?
Yes, I have. You want me to give an exact example of a mistake I've made?
Yeah. And
normally, a book or a manuscript is meant, there are always first pages, second pages, and third pages. Those are the stages of publication. And normally you are meant to send an author or give an author feedback at least after the second pages.
Okay.
But for me, I felt that this author has done really something below my standards or below the threshold. He hadn't made the threshold. So I returned a whole manuscript.
Okay.
Yes, to him. That is a mistake. And at that time, I didn't know he was a common author of a publishing house.
Okay.
So you see, he felt like, this young editor is so quick, he's not patient and all that. But I just took the manuscript back, had a one-on-one with the author, and I think he understood me. He rectified and we moved on.
Okay.
Yes.
And so far, do you have a contract or maybe a set of terms and conditions for you to work with any writer?
Of course.
Yeah.
Because if I do not have any guidelines, any rules, an author can mess you up, Callistus.
Okay.
Yes, because an author can say, I need this book in the next 2 weeks. And if you do not have guidelines, for example, you cannot give me 2 weeks. The minimum you can give me is 2 months to submit a book. Yes, a book. But if it's articles, research journals, those ones, even 1 week, 3 days, it's allowed. So the first guideline is, do not bring me an incomplete manuscript. For example, you've written a book up to chapter 9 and you want it to have 13 chapters. And you're like, you just start with this, I'll top up the other chapters. It is not allowed, not only with me, but with any publishing house or with any editor, because you might sit and write content that is not consistent with these other chapters. And maybe you might feel those are the chapters you don't want an editor to really work on it so much because you feel you have delivered. You see, I will have done a lot of work, but to you it is not work. With these other 9 chapters, I have to start afresh. So for me, I only take a complete manuscript. Not unless it is coming from me as an editor and tell you go and work on chapter 3 or rewrite it. But you can't bring me an incomplete manuscript.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. That's very interesting. What advice will you give to new editors?
Stay consistent. And stay on course. Those are the 2 things that have kept me in publishing. And do not get into editing if you do not love reading. If you are not a reader, if you are not a books person, do not. Because sometimes some manuscripts are boring. But if you do not love reading, what will you do? You will leave it along the way. Then on consistency, do not start a book today. Tomorrow you are done. You are tired and you drop it. No, stay consistent. Do not be in editing today and tomorrow you are in fashion. The other day you are blogging. The next day you are farming. You will not unless you are good at multitasking. But do not drop the ball of editing if at all you intend to come back to it. Yes.
Okay, that's a good one. Will you mind mentioning some of the books that you have edited to our viewers? Maybe your works, maybe that you've done recently.
Well, I've done so many books. Just that the authors have not paid me for marketing. But let me just be a good editor. Yes, but recently, together with other editors, we have published a book called Hope in Hard Times by Dr. Dazwit. That is the overseer of City of Transformation Churches Global. And the other one I've done recently is the thesis writing, guidelines on thesis writing by Dr. Muma. Then there are so many research papers Those ones I cannot mention because there's so many. Like in a day, I can do like 3 research papers. So I cannot mention all of them. Yes, so there are so many research journals at St. Paul's University, at Royal Light Publishers that I have participated in editorial. Yes.
You've just mentioned St. Paul's University. As
yes.
An assistant public relations officer at St. Paul's University. What does your job entail, actually?
So public relations is about image management, branding,
yes,
and crisis management.
Yeah.
So you've done communication, and I know you're very passionate with branding.
Of course.
Especially personal branding. You see, he's
very,
always
very important.
He's so keen with his image.
Yeah.
And it's so important. I love editorial, yes.
Yeah.
But I love PR because of branding.
Yeah.
Because, there is nothing that can be successful without proper branding.
True.
Brands come up, businesses come up, they fade away.
Yeah.
Yes. And
you attract opportunities, actually.
Yeah, true. Through branding, yes. So slight mistakes in branding can cause you down. So that is why I'm passionate with public relations. So at St. Paul's University, there is the part of publications, definitely because by virtue of being an editor. Then there is marketing, that is visibility. Apparently, I combine public relations and marketing at St. Paul's University. So if there is anything that has to go out to enhance or to increase our visibility as an institution, it is up to corporate affairs. So I work in the corporate affairs department. That is so. That is what I do at St. Paul's University. And when there is a crisis, thanks to God, we have not had so much crisis at St. Paul's University. That is all our job as well. Then if there is anything, PR, in quotes, is about making noise, relevant noise, so that you are heard. If there's something small like this, if I tell it to you, it will be this big because I'm a PR. If, for example, if I will cover Callistus with maybe a veil or something, then I introduce him to you guys. When I unveil him, you will all be shocked because you'll be expecting someone huge.
But of course, I'm huge, guys. I'm huge.
Yes, at heart. It's huge at heart. Yes. So generally, that is what I do at St. Paul's University. Then increasing numbers. For us, we are a private institution.
True.
So numbers really go a long way in sustaining us in the marketplace. In as much as we also admit government-sponsored students, the private students are our major concern. Yes. So I deal with numbers, visibility, and that is under branding and image management. Yes, and crisis management as well.
So I know this question is a bit tricky, but if you were to choose between these two, which one will you go for?
As a PR, I would say these two are intertwined.
They go hand in hand.
Hand in hand. How do you expect me to be an excellent PR practitioner without having polished editorial skills? Because if a memo has to go out, if a press statement has to go out, it needs an editor to go through it with, it's called a toothpick eye, so that you can detect mistakes and correct them. So that's why they are intertwined. And telling me to choose one, it's like trying to tell me I can separate my head from my body and still operate.
Impossible. Wow, that's a good one. By the way, of course, it's about communications.
Sure.
When it comes to editing, communications. When it comes to PR,
it's communication. Yes.
So,
it's just that in editing, I'm communicating through words, written words. But in PR, I'm now using my mouth. Like you now have to hear me speak. So you can imagine, you are now limiting me just to writing and putting things down. And I can't use my voice. I cannot vocalize what is on my mind. That's why for me, they form Kachipela professionally. Yes. And something that I forgot to highlight in editorial. If you are maybe an upcoming author, you want to just come in to put your thoughts down in form of a book, in form of an article, a research paper, you're in the field of academia, never assume that you do not need an editor. It's a lie. The reason as to why some books don't sell, the reason as to why some research papers cannot be quoted in so many research work, is because many people assume, after all, I'm a doctor. So what part of language don't I know that I need an editor? Or what is this thing that is so new that I'll need an editor to bring into my work? It's a lie, because everyone, even I as an editor, when I want to publish my book, it will be biased and according to publication rules, very wrong to edit my own book. I have to give someone else because of the second eye and to avoid biasness. Yes. So you might find that some books are just done here and there, not in as much as you are an expert in a certain field. Respect that you cannot be an expert in editorial and allow someone else to do your work so that your book can sell, and anything else, any written material can also sell and slay quite fast in the market. Yes.
Wow. Just briefly, where do you draw your inspiration?
Inspiration. Let me say it's from my personality generally. I'm the kind who writes a lot. So that's what gives me inspiration. I say, if my mom maybe could have lacked a name for me, she could have called me a books girl.
Wow.
Yes, because when I'm stressed, when I'm happy, I write. I journal. Like, I have a journal for every year. When a new year begins, I have a journal just to write down my thoughts. Like, with time, I'm thinking of writing a book about someone that I will not reveal here. Because her life story is an inspiration to me. And there is no way I can leave this world without pinning down what I have observed in her life. So generally, that is what gives me motivation. It is more of who I am. I love writing. I love creative works. I love literature, except poetry.
Why?
Because poetry.
Is it complicated for you?
No, it's not complicated. I enjoy consistency. Like with reference to the Bible, if you look at the book of Psalm and Proverbs and Songs of Songs, you cannot relate. Sometimes it's hard to relate chapter 5 to verse 5 maybe of chapter 3 or any other chapter to verse 2 on and so on. But if you look at a book that has used storytelling, like Ezekiel, the book of Ezekiel or the book of Genesis, it is easy to follow a story with storytelling as a form of writing than poetry, to me. But there are those that enjoy editing poetry. For me, I have never edited poetry, and I don't plan to, because I don't enjoy poetry. And there is a break in poetry as a writing style that I do not really I don't really like. Yes.
My viewers, I feel there is a lot that this woman is trying to tell you. Whenever you are reading a book, always get to understand that an editor plays a very important role for you to get the message that has been intended by the author. So this is very important for you. You are parting short to our viewers?
In as much as you might not be so much into books, try reading a book. It sharpens your prowess in terms of language, and also even in terms of arguments. Your acumen grows to another level. You cannot just be in any discussion. You're like, oh yeah, I get you. You don't have anything to contribute to any conversation or discussion. Why? Knowledge. No knowledge. Be it an ebook, be it an article. Just try and make it a tendency to love books, read books. They contribute a lot to you as a person. Callistas, it's easy for me to categorize you by just listening to you for like 5 minutes. Because I can tell whether you are a reader or you are not a reader. Because reading is equivalent to the knowledge that you carry. Yes.
Wow. My friend. People are knowledgeable about Saria because they have read books. So if you are not, kindly try to read books, because books, they do carry knowledge. There's no book that has no knowledge.
Sure.
So the more you read
something
books,
new
the more knowledge you acquire. Now, where do authors now find you if they want to get your services?
Well, they find me on all my social media platforms.
As who?
So as Kachipela Linda.
Yeah.
Yes. So on the bio of every social media, that you won't miss anything like an editor.
Yeah.
So I have branded myself literally as an editor on all social media pages. But with time, I'm gonna create a website whereby you can find all my services there.
Yeah.
But right now, Kachipela is a brand in editorial.
Yeah.
Yes, so you can always find me.
And it's a big one.
Jina kubwa.
Jina kubwa, and we are going to take it to the next level.
Thank you.
Watch out for this. My viewers, I know it has been a good time. For me personally, there is a lot that I've been able to learn. For you, I want to believe that there is something that you have been able to pick. Read a book. Read a book.
Read.
And read a book again. If you are short of books, kindly, we shall supply.
Yes, a lot.
Tutaleta vitabu, mtasoma na mtavisoma tena. Thank you for your time, viewers. I've been your host, your one man different, Kalismas Mtukufu, yule bingwa wa kuburuda kwama, and my guest today,
Kachipela Linda.
Bye bye.